In other words, they can launch nuclear missiles. These are Russian jets, and this is part of a rare cooperation between the Russian Air Force and the South African Defense Force. So these two planes, the Tupolev Tu-160, otherwise known as the blackjack bomber, is here, and this is a rare display. It's being described as of cooperation between Defense Force and the two countries. Apparently this isn't nuclear capable, these particular planes that are coming through, but these are described as among the biggest military planes in the world, touching ground on African soil for the very, very first time. And this is the cooperation between the Russian aerospace forces and the South African National Defense Forces. So this rare sight that you're seeing now, you probably won't get to see very often, if again, actually, and coinciding, of course, with this trip that President Ramaphosa has taken to Sochi, that this cooperation between the two countries seems to be being developed by the Russians. They say that this military-to-military relations between the two countries is not solely built on struggle politics, but rather on focusing and fostering mutually beneficial partnerships based on common interests. And that was something that was said by the South African National Defense Force. And we believe that the Russian Defense Ministry will be putting out a similar statement. But as I said, these planes are quite remarkable, and that you won't see quite often. Two of the biggest military planes that you will see in the world arriving on African soil for the very, very first time. This is all happening at Waterkloof Air Force Base in Pretoria as we speak. The Tu-160, with its NATO designation blackjack, is also known as the White Swan, is a supersonic variable sweep wing heavy strategic bomber designed by the Tupolev Design Bureau in the Soviet Union. All right, so if you've just joined us, you're witnessing some pretty rare history. Russian Air Force, military aircraft landing for the very first time on African soil, and South Africa has been chosen as part of this cooperation between South Africa and the Russian Air Force, aerospace forces. This landing of these two planes, Tu-160s, as I said, known as the White Swan, which is quite a remarkable aircraft. And this is something you'll probably see planes flying overhead of the next couple of days that you won't see again. So if you can get out, if you're in the area, this is quite a sight for you to see. All right, so these are massive planes, as you can see, and it looking like they're using parachutes to help it slow down. One can only imagine the speeds that they can get up to. But you won't see military planes this size in many countries around the world. And of course, Russia has, over the years, helped militarily many countries across the continent, selling arms and hardware. Going back as far as the struggle days, when a lot of the liberation movements were getting military assistance, not just in arms but in training as well, training many of our combatants when they went over to Russia. So this cooperation continues, and as we heard a little bit earlier on, it goes beyond struggle politics and struggle issues, but really about fostering military-to-military relations between the two countries. South Africa certainly doesn't have planes to this level, but it will be interesting to see what kind of discussions happen between the two countries, the Russian aerospace forces and the SANDF. And why at this time in particular, whilst our president is in Sochi with other African leaders for the first ever Russia-Africa summit? It certainly can't be a coincidence that this is happening at this time. But quite a sight to see these remarkable military planes that we're seeing right now on the tarmac at Waterkloof Air Force Base. And as I said, the choice is South Africa. It's the first time that they've landed on African soil before. We're going to stay with these pictures a little bit and just see how much more we can see of these planes. But I suspect that over the 2 or so days that these planes are around, we may get to see other aircraft that came as an escort to these planes when they came from Russia. If you've just joined us, again, just a reminder of the images that you're seeing. This is the Waterkloof Air Force Base. And what you're seeing is, for the first time on African soil, a Tupolev Tu-160, a supersonic, variable, sweep wing, heavy strategic bomber designed by the Tupolev Design Bureau in the Soviet Union. And it's been described as the largest and heaviest Mark II, that's twice the speed of sound, supersonic military aircraft ever built, and the second only to the XB-70 Valkyrie in overall length. So this is a long plane, heavy, but can travel at Mark II. And the last time I got excited about a plane traveling at that speed, of course, was with the Concorde that used to fly across the Atlantic between the UK and New York, French and British built. So for a bomber, this goes very quickly, twice the speed of sound. Mark II, the largest and heaviest plane, military plane that you will see, the Tupolev Tu-160, also known as the blackjack bomber. So this cooperation that's taken place between South Africa and Russia, giving us the opportunity just to see the might of the Russian military and their capability in terms of military hardware. And for those of you that know planes, we're told that it has a combat radius of 7,300 kilometers, and the service ceiling is 16,000 meters. The Tu-160 has a flight endurance of 15 hours. It's quite a long time to be in the air. The aircraft weighs around 110,000 kilograms. And at that weight, it's able to travel at Mach 2. But its maximum takeoff weight is 275,000 kilograms. So this is an enormous plane. I think it's difficult to get a full sense of just how big this plane is with these images that you're seeing. Perhaps when it's next to another plane, you might be able to understand just what a wonder this aircraft is in terms of its design and its abilities. 15 hours in the air, can fly at Mach 2, which is twice the speed of sound, and a takeoff weight of 275,000 kilograms. Its own weight, 110,000 kilograms. So we're going to leave those images there. That's the Waterkloof Air Force Base and the Tu-160 blackjack bombers in cooperation between Russia and South Africa's defense forces. A cooperation that's giving us an opportunity to witness some quite remarkable aircraft technology. We'll have a little bit more on that for you later on.